I think one important thing that we can discuss today is I haven't studied how yesterday's session was with money. But what it calls my attention about what you're doing with her, and please give me your feedback, is that she comes from this traditional way of learning in which, well, she had a transition with the coaching in a way in which she didn't really focus on any language component but then production, right? And and we work basically with that confidence part. So with the intention of she not getting stuck, she producing more confidently, and so on. Now, when we adapt and that is why we offer to our students, so to getting confidence, because in the end we believe that the resources they have, they are a good starting point to continue with the developmental process. But now with that complement arriving karaoke, in which you also work a lot with that affective filter, so they don't even pay attention to how they feel because they are already motivated because of the song they are singing along, and the results they are getting, what they enjoy themselves while learning, while having a nice and fun session with you. So how do you how have you seen her? How has she performed, and how do you think she feels? What's her feedback and so on?
Last night, this was her second class, and there was a moment when she figured out something all by herself, and
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
bursted out in laughter.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So that is the typical response for uh, for students. Number one, number two, it is a true
Hmm.
sign of learning, whereby the student, or in this case, Monica, she has discovered something all by herself.
All right.
And when you discover that element all by yourself, the likelihood of you remembering it would be much greater. And it wasn't something that was fed to you and you had to memorize it.
Hmm. 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 Yes,
So
yes, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That is one of those aha moments, right? That are relevant, meaningful, and they are more permanent.
Yes, yes. And also, again, like you said, we were having a lot of fun. And when we're having that sort of fun, or should I say more of a coaching, relaxed type of relationship or environment, uh, you are much more likely to um, ask more, ask better questions. In Moni's case, she was much more relaxed in terms of, okay, I need to convey to my coach what I certain ideas and stuff like that. And it seems to me that she was trying harder than usual, although I wasn't privileged to what she was doing previously. But to me, my impression of her last night was that she was calm and collected. And that is something which is hard to teach through a book or traditional method.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally, totally. Okay, okay. Now, and that is great, and I'm very happy to hear that because she's uh she's getting something that probably she hadn't noticed, or she hadn't we haven't found a way in which we can also provide her with such feedback and such experiences
Hmm.
and enrich all the journey, right? They
Hmm.
enrich her own journey.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is the most fantastic thing. Now, also that feedback is important because I'm just thinking of something, Nick, which is the most important part that we do. is just to make here with the coaching is just to make the student reflect. So we never give an answer to the student in terms of how can I or how the student can perform better while complying with the function of the language. Like giving an opinion, offering a solution, asking for information, you know, complying with those can-do statements. Um, but we never tell the student this is the way to go. So we always try to make the student reflect on what the student did. We record a lot the student, um, both basically in audios, but from time to time we use the Zoom sessions, the Zoom recordings. So we show the student what they did, and also they come up with the feedback. So that is a really good thing, and that is coaching. So in the
Yes.
end, is that we lead the students through the way they have come across, and then we try to make them reflect on how they did
Right.
it,
Right. And
the ideas they could.
I that's why I respect you and your company quite a lot, and that is because you guys are just also a truly coaching type of you have used a coaching type of approach. And if this video gets to into the ether and gets to whoever the audience is watching and listening right now, that's truly the message that we're trying to get across to people, whereby uh, the answer is in yourself, and the coach is the person to help you find that way. Because in my case, uh, I'm not a native English speaker uh, in the technical sense. I was born in Hong
Hmm.
Kong, and I wasn't there until I was 13 years old. And God bless that I was there the day I turned 13, because they say in linguistic theories that once you're past puberty, you're not supposed to be able to learn a language well. Okay, well, I
Mm.
don't buy that, and I've proven it over time and time again with multiple languages. So, yeah,
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, I agree with you. So, but in the end, you also have that exposure. You have had and you have looked for those resources to have a constant and a 360-degree surrounding exposure, so that you use the language at, but I won't say at every single time of the day, but you look for that constant and a relevant exposure to the language. That has been very helpful. So in the end, you created yourself your own need to to master, to tackle the language in such a way that you committed yourself with it. And well, so we see the results. On the other hand, the time we have with our students is limited.
yeah,
And one of the main questions, and that is also related to the much of the advertising material that says that by using such this is that uh, tools and methods, they will learn with no effort. So
right.
and that is something that we can discuss, right? We bring here to the table, and I totally believe if you use Capital Karaoke, so it won't cost that effort, but in the end, the effort is there. So, but the only
Yeah,
difference is that you're enjoying it. But
yeah,
on the other hand, what will happen if you don't have that guidance? So maybe the music and the songs, it's limited just to the context that you have there in the song. But I won't be able. I had that input, and the input that comes in the both in the lyrics and the song and the music, but maybe I won't be able to produce. So I need guidance, and that's why the Kapikai karaoke comes very useful. On the other hand, coming back to the point that many people when we are with them, so they only have 1 hour a week, or they have maybe in the best case scenario 2 or 3 hours a week. So it is still a reduced number of hours in which if they only devote those 3 hours to their language learning process, so they will just fall short in
Mhm.
terms of that exposure that
That's right.
you and I know it's needed to, to become more proficient in the language, right? At least to go over the most basic uh, tasks that we face when we are in this context, and that is a true thing. So when they finish their sessions, and then they need the language in a further time, and they notice that they still cannot produce, well, it is frustrating, and they just blame on themselves. They say,
Yes,
"Oh yeah, I know that I should have done this since I was in high school, so since I was at university, and so on." They don't even think on my English training is not working, but they
yes,
blame on themselves.
yes.
All
That's
right.
right. That's right. That's why people like you and I are have to be very bold in our claims, when such as your traditional method isn't working. It's not your fault, right? Now, in terms of the songs itself, yes, you're so right. It's fun, and uh, it the learning or the time that you spend for by yourself to learn still is a significant. There's going to be still a significant amount of time. However, the when you're learning through a song, or you're practicing with a song, it is much more painless that way. Okay. Now, in terms of the environment, having a submerged in an environment, yes, it helps quite a bit. However, you will still need a lot of guidance. I have tutored many kids in Hong Kong who go to international school, and they still have a lot of trouble with the most basic things. You would
Mm.
think that they should be able to pick that up by ways of going to an international school, but no, they still don't have that. Uh, they still are speaking whatever they're still speaking or English that has been very heavily influenced by people from Hong Kong. So they, actually, even worse is when I have tutored kids in Canada, whereby their parents are from
Hmm.
Hong Kong, and
Hmm.
their English sounds like people from Hong Kong. And now, again, these are kids that are born and raised in Canada.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the right guidance and um, the right coaching, so that you're guided as to what to pay attention to. And I always tell my students, in terms of hitting the sounds right, for Mexicans, there is just a handful of sounds that
Mm.
you have to put a lot of time into in order to master them, and you would uh, that's 80% of the game.
Exactly. Exactly. That's well, and that's quite the path, right?
Yes, yes,
So if you manage to, you know, to go over this 80%, well, in the end, that is a personal motivation, right?
yeah,
So and one more time, if we just take this example back with those children who were who are originally from Hong Kong, but who are were currently in Canada. All their context was English, right? So in school, and it's quite interesting that phenomenon. But imagining, so those assuming that these children they had that uh, 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 barrier that was inherited at home, so it was just transmitted at home because of their parents. So assuming that their parents they would like maybe. Uh, uh, passing the fear over them to perform well, and that frustration and those limitations that the parents have. So because they were really concerned of well for the kids
Hmm.
language
Hmm.
and their skills and so on. So they hired you because they believed in your skills, and they also believed in your experience. And
Hmm.
that is an interesting thing. That sometimes it happens. So well, you started working with them, and I would think probably without knowing the end of the story, but then eventually they managed to sort out the situation,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to get involved, and they develop the skills, and right now they're very well. They're in Canada and so on. But now my question is, so many people in Latin American countries, so we find that uh, maybe that frustration moment in which there it seems that to communicate with someone else, it's such an overwhelming task. I won't be able to go over it. And then my point is, it happens when they need to speak with someone else, but even more, it happens when they need to speak to a native speaker. And that moment is like, oh, come on in here. I managed to do this when I was with non-native speakers because I assumed that they also had some some errors and some slips, and they committed some mistakes while what they were speaking. Now with native speakers, well, I will lose face. And Mexican people, we are like this, and Latin American people in general. So we also face the scenarios in which we don't think we can manage to have a conversation today with a native speaker because of that reason, because we're going to lose face. Now, my point is, Capital Karaoke will it helps people to feel more comfortable and confident while they're practicing their English because they don't. At some point, they forget that they're singing aloud, that they're not professional singers. No, but because they are focusing more on this language skill, but they are enjoying it, and also they forget that they are not native speakers, and they don't really mind that much on the possible mistakes they make, as if they were saying it. So that it's like a parallel to that. Well, those two skills are a little parallel. My final point is, the thing is that it happens when we are with them, but we are only with them 2 hours, and those 2 hours or 1 hour or 3 hours a week, they're not enough for them to face a meeting, or for them to face a job interview, or a professional presentation, or a conversation with their relatives in the United States, right? So this is still not enough. Now, what happens with those adults who are still struggling with the production stage, even though they devote effective time, so they're very attentive to the sessions, and they try to do some homework, but in the end, the exposure they have to the languages uh, is is not enough. What's the next step, or what other steps can copycat karaoke at some point? We're just talking about this method, and also how can we help our students
Oh,
outside the
wow.
copycat karaoke method to keep working on it?
I'm glad you so glad you asked that. Well, we start off with songs, which is pretty hard already. The next phase of copying is that you're actually copying TV shows. I have a
All
student.
right.
I had a student in China, and her English is actually very, very good. I was quite impressed already that she's a university student to begin with, and her English is quite impressive. She's always getting very high marks in her other classes, right? And I asked her to copy um, none other than the Muppet Show. The reason why we yes, actually, the Muppet Show is actually a very interesting copy or study because it contains a lot of Americanism that you can't really teach it until such time that you watch it and digest it and understand it. Number one. Number two, whatever they say and speak in that, they have to pack it in what, a 20-minute segment. Their delivery is quick, and the delivery is, it's very, very precise. So this girl, after taking my class, uh, when there was an exam, I actually had to uh, cor- I had to do the corrections or marking twice because I want to keep myself honest. Am I giving her an A just because she's good, or she's actually achieved certain skills? And my honest answer had to be that I have to give her an A plus, sorry, A minus, because she just improved that much more, right? And I asked her
Yeah.
after I've done the marking, are you, have you been always getting high marks? Yes. Have you gotten uh, A's and A pluses before? And she says, no, I only get usually high B's, right? So in other words, she has developed quite a bit through copying. A song or a TV show is whatever the material is, it's just an excuse, right? They're interesting excuses, but it's just an excuse. It's just an excuse for you to be engaged, and also is an excuse for you to be immersed in this case, Americanism, or in the cases of the song, uh, certain era perhaps in history.
All right. All right. Well, that actually talks about a couple of aspects. First, the personal student, well, the student's own perception of what they can achieve while in this particular case performing in the language, so that the delivery starts improving, and also reflecting on their own achievements they have. So it helps them to change their own their self perspective, right? The self the self value, and that one is very important. On the other hand, as you offer and you get this pop culture closer to them in such a way that they get immersed, as if, I don't know if you have ever tried to learn Spanish while
I'm trying
using
right now. Yeah.
some Mexican soap operas, right? Like soap operas, like Mexican soap operas in Canal de las Estrellas, which is, the Mexican main public television TV channel, in which
Telenovela.
they've been telenovelas. That's right. So the telenovelas, so that when you see the Mexican values, so very specific from Mexico, but they can also be extended somehow to the rest of the Latin American culture. So the beliefs, the expectations, so the traumas, everything, right? And then it happens with those American sitcoms, right?
Yeah.
In which friends that I really
Yeah.
like to tell my students, though I must be honest, I've never used it before. I've never used a series, and I know that there are many resources online that they used American sitcoms, many of them coming from those 90s and 2000s sitcoms, in which they're not that engaging today for the students, because now they don't even know what's Friends about. So Friends, what is it, right? But
Hmm.
trying to maybe we just disclose this resources and materials to them, and we tell them, well, this is American English, and now if you already have a high level proficiency or some good proficiency in English, so now what can you get out of this video clip? So this little extra from that sitcom, and many times they will say, "Oh, that was challenging. Yeah, I didn't get that." Well, this is how they start training their ear and
That's right.
the discrimination, the sound discrimination, everything. But now, and that is very very good too. So because you answer the question very clearly, how do you um, how copycat karaoke and how the method help the students to be perseverant and also to keep working in the free time, and the student manages to find some extra time so they keep practicing well by doing something they enjoy.
Well, copycat
All
carrying
right.
can only be too hard for you. Although
Mm-hmm.
I'm using songs and TV shows, you more likely to give up because you think it is too hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds discouraging, but again, it isn't. It is only an exposure to what has failed you, and if you are
Mm-hmm.
exposed to what has failed you, what your problems, what you need to work on, then you should a true learner should be very happy about it, and they would devour what what has been deficient. And but then a lot of people, especially people from nowadays, they would just give up. They just go, okay, I can't do it on my own. But of course, again,
Yeah.
as a coach, I will help you through it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, something that well, I think it's been very clear and very interesting. This discussion is very interesting. I would just have as a takeaway, just help the students to keep doing something that is relevant, meaningful, so we know it. But in more concrete words, is let them do something they enjoy while they're using the language and guide them with a material uh, uh, choice process, right?
Yeah, and there's a
But
true
choose.
enjoyment to it because this way the teacher, or I should say coach, and the students are talking about something that is trendy, current, that has a certain punchlines and comedies and what have you. It's truly something that is enjoyable. If we were to read, I don't know, Macbeth, right? Yeah, how did we even? Well, actually, in my case, when I was in grade 10, that's when my English was supposed to be not able to. Well, I wasn't able to pass English because we were studying the Crucible.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
Crucible is
Hmm.
about the Mayflower coming over to America. It's a story about those people.
Okay.
How is a boy from Hong Kong going to be able to relate to Mayflower coming to, how am I supposed to? There's no chance that I could have passed that, right? So
Yeah,
that's what
definitely.
English is supposed to be. It's not English; it's English literature, which is another whole different aspect that as whereby where people that are 80%, 90% of the time we just need to communicate with people. We have no need to talk about the Crucible or Macbeth or what have you. Those are just academic selling points that that you get sucked into, that you think that once I'm able to understand Macbeth, I'm going to be a better English speaker. Well, no, yeah, there's a lot of musicians that are not educated, that are way better English speakers than a lot of people that are supposed to be educated. In fact, in my Instagram channel, I have this story about a guy named Arnell who is from the Philippines, and he's from Skid Row. His he actually he grew up collecting bottles in order to
Hmm.
survive. But
Okay.
the gift that his mother has given him was that his mother was teaching him how to sing, and he landed the lead singer's position for Foreigner.
Hmm.
Are you gonna
Okay.
are you gonna tell me that this person isn't a very good English speaker? No way. I don't think he knows about Macbeth or the Crucible, but I bet
Hmm.
he speaks English really really well. So well that
Yeah, that's right.
one of the top bands in the world says, "Yep, you're one of my guys." And again, of course, he's not English speaker, a native English speaker in the full sense of the word.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, well, at least with a minute we give to a native speaker, so someone who learned the language as their mother tongue, right?
Yeah, well,
And
you know, that's actually a it's just another gimmick. It's I don't buy that. You know, just
yeah, yes.
I'll send you that video, and you can you maybe you can send it out and show people.
Yeah, please. That would be good
Yeah.
because you know what? These are some of the barriers that we as adults we start fighting,
Hmm.
and there are some bias. We have many biases in terms of how if I'm already an aged person, so I'm already in my 30s, I'm in my 20s, I'm frustrated
Yeah.
because I have never had a good performance in English. Everyone around me
Hmm.
speaks English very well, and but I don't. And then so there's something I cannot do. So, but yes, this models I think they are very relevant because they're motivating. So, and that is one of the key aspects we try to do as coaches, right?
Right.
It's we keep the coachee engaged with what they're doing, and we show them the results, and we try to let them know how what are the things they need to reflect on
Hmm. Hmm.
if they once that they know that they can get the things better.
Why don't we do this next
Mhm.
week instead of having a simply a Q and A session? Why don't we just
Okay.
use that video
Okay.
as a material that we encourage people to watch it, and then
All right.
come back and ask questions about the video.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, why
Sounds
don't we
good.
do that?
I
Okay.
like it.
All
So
right.
perfect. So I'll have a session, like in-person session this Friday with some of my students, and of course, in between today and next Wednesday, I have several sessions. So I'm gonna use this material in every single class, and I will come up with several comments at least,
Hmm.
and I think something interesting will also raise from it, right?
Now, if they can't attend on next week the same time, why don't you just record their reaction to it and then send me their questions by way of a video?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. I can definitely do that. So I don't promise to do it in my presential session, but in my online sessions, of course, I will do it. So I will record the reaction and also the questions. So I share them here in our time in this webinar session, and then so let's I'm sure that some interesting things will come
Oh,
up, and would also to go back with my students, and then we'll come back with my students and tell them these are the answers for the questions you have.
right,
I like to
right,
complement on what we learned
right.
or what we experienced last week. All right, sounds good,
All
perfect.
right.
So Nick, thank you very much. I think I'll text you. There is something I like to ask you
Okay.
as well. So another favor,
Yeah.
in this case is for me. It has something to do with Mandarin, the Vietnamese
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
And but I talk to you. I text you a little later. All right.
Okay then. I'll see you. I'll talk to you
Thank
later
you.
then. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.